When I finished school, I would like to be a pilot.
I would like to be an engineer.
I want to be an accountant.
I like to become a doctor.
When I finish school, I want to be the president of Uganda.
3 years before this recording, these children had no big dreams, no education, no hopes.
Before joining to school, I was working in the restaurant. I was starting from 7 a.m. up to 9 p.m.
Zahara worked in a makeshift restaurant for more than 3 years. Her pay was 2,000 shillings a day, the equivalent of 60 cents of the American dollar.
I was selling sugar canes before coming to school, and I was starting at 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.
For 3 years, Raya Abdu became a well-known sugarcane vendor in the village of Chitugulu. Some of the challenges she encountered include bigger people taking advantage of her age to cheat her.
Before joining school, I was washing cars. I would start at 10 a.m. to 4 p.m.
For nearly 4 years, Mohamud Bwete was washing the lower parts of the vehicles. He was being paid peanuts. Because of his size, his employers claimed that his labor was worth the cost of washing tires only. Joel Chilwana's name had become synonymous with scrap metal. Combing the garbage dumps and backyards for scrap metals had become his daily bread. In this trade, he was not alone. Ramadan Juma was no exception.
I was collecting scrap for sale from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Child labor is a worldwide phenomenon affecting about 200 million children. Nearly 60 million in sub-Saharan Africa. About 3 million in Uganda by the beginning of the second millennium. In 1998, the International Labour Organization's Declaration on Fundamental Principles and Rights at Work was adopted in Geneva. One of the 4 categories of the declaration is freedom from child labor. Among the worst forms of child labor listed in the ILO Convention 182 are slavery, child trafficking and recruitment in armed conflict, child prostitution, drug trafficking, domestic servants, and any such work which may harm the health, safety, and the morals of children. Just as green and fertile for crops and vegetation, the greater part of Uganda is also fertile for all forms of child labor. Mbale and the surrounding districts in eastern Uganda produce about 4,000 metric tons of rice annually, nearly 30% of the rice consumed in the country. Child labor is at the heart of this productivity. Each of these children works all day and earn only 200 shillings, about 12 cents of the American dollar. One of the most challenging assignments in the rice fields is bird scaring. The children work from daybreak up to sunset, chasing the birds without rest and without lunch. They are unable to attend school despite the universal primary and secondary education program. But this problem is rampant across rural Uganda. Kampala, the capital city, and all the towns across the country are epicenters of the worst forms of child labor. Child trafficking, commercial sex, child prostitution, and all those listed in the ILO Convention. The Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development has been grappling with the child labor menace for years. Ms. Loyima is the acting director in charge of labor administration in the country.
we have had incidents of children, very, very young children, dying together with parents at stone quarries. There are some children who have been, or who continue working in Kasese, in the salt areas. You know, that salt is very, very corrosive to the skin. And then, of course, there are all sorts of infections that affect children who work in the streets.
The other risks they face are HIV, AIDS, and other sexually transmitted infections, violence, child abuse, and drug and alcoholic addictions with severe physical, social, and psychological consequences.
Then the other very, very a significant consequence that we may not see easily, especially the poor families, the denial of a child to go to school, their opportunity to go to school is a very, very damaging effect on the future of the child, because that child will never get an opportunity to develop into a productive adult. You know, they lose the opportunity to get education, to get their numeracy, literacy, and functional skills. So they end up becoming, you know, workers, the future poor workers, because they don't get an opportunity to develop skills, and that affects the development of human capital in the country, which we do need.
Since 1999, the Uganda government, together with the International Labour Organization, have been working on a series of activities to implement the International Program on the Elimination of Child Labour, IPEC. One of such interventions was the HIV Child Labour Project in 2008, out of which 1,456 children were withdrawn from child labour. 1,486 were prevented from falling into child labour and also taken to school, boosting the primary school enrollment by nearly 3,000 children. And thanks to the participation of the 4 NGOs working as intermediaries in the implementation of the project. To deepen the awareness on the dangers of child labor, IPEC trained several people in the communities, including teachers. Edith is one of them.
The school, at first, even the teachers were not aware of how they could handle the children who are having this problem of child labor before we went for training. But after this training, I talked to the staff, and the teachers were interested, and so this is how we came up to identify children who are under labor.
ILO IPEC has basically helped us to build our capacity in understanding the various dynamics that are related with child labor. They have also provided us with the resources.
IPEC was definitely a success. The only challenge that I see is that it looks as if it left too soon before capacity for sustainability was built.
Every day that passes, I wake up stretching, yawning.
To retain those children at school, the program provided for uniforms and scholastic materials. And yet the numbers withdrawn, prevented, and retained. Compared to the enormity of the problem, it is just like scraping the tip of the iceberg.
Help me to be like you.
In 2009, the Uganda government and the International Labour Organization embarked on a 44-month project known as SNAP, support to the National Action Plan aimed at the eradication of child labour. As a pilot project, SNAP was designed to be implemented through 10 intermediary NGOs in the districts of Mbale, Wachiso, and Rakai. Mrs. Akedekot is the Chief Technical Advisor.
Child labour is part of a broader development issue. And that's very important. That's where the integrated area-based approach comes in, meaning that you work together with other service providers. And you try to integrate and mainstream the child labour component in other programs. For example, education, HIV/AIDS, social protection programs, agricultural programs, where a lot of child labor takes place in the informal sector. So what is very important is to bring in an extra component, which we are doing with 10 to 20% of our beneficiaries, and that's to work with the family unit and to work with the communities in order to strengthen the families, to generate a small income through training them on business practices and give them a grant to set up small enterprises, small businesses, and to link them to saving schemes. Even small community saving schemes, saving 500 shillings a day or 2,000 shillings a week, little money, but it generates in the end. And it helps them to get a savings culture, which is very important for sustainability, to make sure that there's food in the home, there is a shelter, and to give children access to education and get them out of this child labor. You have to network and you have to refer certain people, households, children to other service providers.
The SNAF project is also about withdrawing and preventing children from child labor and putting them in school. The total target is 8,400 children. Those who can no longer benefit from formal school are provided with the opportunity to acquire living skills through vocational training.
I would like to be a mechanic. First, I want to help my mother and my dad to build them a house because I'm happy what they give me. Second, I want to help those persons who does not have their fathers and mothers, to educate them, to help them, because me also, they help me.
I have just begun to learn about the car engine, especially how to open it, how to detect faults, and how to fix them. Recently, I telephoned my mother in Masaka. She was pleased about my progress and said that when I finish the training here, I should go for more training. And in Masaka also, there is a garage owner who has already offered me a job.
Our home is like as if we are cursed. Nobody is educated. When I finish this training, I would like to continue with my education because I would like to become a civil engineer. That's my dream.
For most of these, their parents pass on due to HIV/AIDS and other causes, leaving them in the care of grandparents. Within just a few years, the grandchildren became heads of the households and therefore caregivers to the grannies. Inevitably, they fell into child labor.
When I finish my training, I would like to create my own business. I want to be a woman of integrity, a humble woman who will treat people well, so that I can help my parents and siblings. I want to be a responsible woman, not showy.
I was working in a lodge in Mutukula town, washing clothes, bed sheets and laying beds. For the few months I've been here, I've learned how to sew the skirts, blouses and shirts. When I complete the training, I'll be able to work and have an income, but not to work as a porter for someone else.
One of the vocational schools, Rider, where these youth are placed, is recognized by the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development. The curriculum and the certificates are validated by the Directorate of Industrial Training to enable these youth enter the job market easily on completion of their courses. To train these youth costs more than 400,000 shillings, the equivalent of $150 American. The ministry responsible is one of those at the bottom of the priority ranking of government in terms of budgetary allocation. In the financial year 2010-2011, the ministry's budget allocation for child labor was minuscule.
the fact of the matter is that most of these children get out of school because they are unable to meet basic scholastic needs. The needs for uniforms, school meals, the list is long. So it's just only the tuition which is provided, but ideally, the government should come up with a strong education system which will avail to all the children of school-going age opportunity to have a better future by going through the school.
There are other countries that may be more poor than Uganda, but they do deal better on child labor issues. I think a lot has to do with commitments and also with a good system on education and social protection.
In Rakai district, 25 million shillings was budgeted for children-related issues. 4 million shillings was allocated, but only 2 million shillings was disbursed. Of the amount disbursed, child labor got 0. For the same financial year, Mbale district had a budget of 33 billion shillings. The allocation for child labor was 2 million. The amount disbursed for child labor was 200,000 shillings, the equivalent of $83 American. In Wachiso district, the budget was more than 41 billion shillings. Community-based services was allocated more than 233 million. The amount released for labor was slightly over 2 million shillings. The amount spent on child labor was 0.
What is it that we are committing to show? If at the national level, the ministries are not committing anything to fight this, that is already a sign that there is a problem to fight it. But as I earlier on said, what is happening at the district level should also be reflected at the national level by the nation, by the governments, by the ministries being committed to committing resources to fighting this issue.
My word to the political leaders at national level is that they should come back to the people. Let them close the gap. Okay, let them not wait for election time and then they come. Because they are supposed to represent us, but they don't come for our views. And that's where the problem is. So they are ignorant of the magnitude of the problems on the ground.
Government policy has not been effective in transforming the lives of people. We have found a very big discrepancy between the well-to-do and the marginalized of society, whom I think should be taken care of by government policy.
In Bali, for instance, the survey revealed that 336,000 children were economically engaged. And we had also another report which was released in 2008, the Understanding Children's Work Report by the Uganda Bureau of Statistics, that revealed also that about 1.8 million children in the age bracket of 5 to 17 were actually actively engaged in work.
In February 2011, Ugandans voted in new political leaders at the center and right down to the districts. The aspirants promised everything during the campaigns except a solution to the child labor crisis. This issue was raised to the attention of the newly elected leaders of Mbale, Wachiso and Rakai.
I'm happy because we are going to have an educated team. The professionals, we shall work together.
As a member of parliament, I'm charged to put efforts to see that I sensitize local leaders, I sensitize communities to see that the issues of child labor is integrated in all planning process. 2, I will try by all means to sensitize and work together with the sub-counties to ensure that bylaws are put in place. Because even if there is policies at national level, there is a need to domesticate or to operationalize such policies at local level.
Training must start with the community leaders. As I've said, even councillors, even Chairman LC3 don't know these issues. And you see, if you look at the law, there are requirements for you to stand as a district chairman, but they are not, I mean, educational requirements for any other posting as far as the district is concerned.
My mission is going to ensure that I sincerely fight for these young boys and girls that are really abused in the course of labor. This I'm going to do entirely with the local leaders that have been elected, Chairman LC3 and Chairman LC5.
We should make it a priority item for our district. And hence, we want to call on our incoming councillors, and we want to call on our teachers and our parents to realize that this is one of the items which affects our educational standards.
We should bring pressure on government because these are the future leaders of this country. Now, if these kids are involved in child labor today, who's going to lead this country tomorrow? We have a big problem in Bugiso, in Mbale. Even the results from primary schools, UPE schools, are terrible. And therefore, we need effort to help our kids. We need to work together.
In Chitubulu, Entebbe, one of the outcomes of the SNAP project has been group formation. The support in kind from the project has helped to increase the productivity of the women groups. While some of them produce baskets and mats, the others cook snacks, and they sell this every day. The improved income levels have inspired these grannies to create a small revolving fund, and it seems to be working.
We started savings in January with 6 groups, with 6 people. And we have been saving 1,000 each per day. After collecting for 7 days, we get one person, say 42,000. Then again we start until we 6 are finished. Then again we started in January to collect 5,000 per head for backing.
I had never known what saving money meant, but now I do. I learned it from this group. Now I know how to manage my business. The income provides the school needs of the children and domestic needs of the family. Even our well-being has improved.
The reason I initiated this group is because I felt that we needed to earn some income to enable our children attend school. With my friends, we agreed to work together to boost our businesses. The support we got from the project has strengthened our group. With the income, we also now have 2 joint accounts and we save weekly. This is also the first time to see any public intervention reach our village.
The support I got from the project has gone directly to help my grandchildren. Right now, they are attending school. I'm hopeful that the business will prosper and continue to help them in the future.
The turning point in their fortune was the support in kind delivered by the SNAP project through KIN, an NGO based in Entebbe. The project provided them with wheat flour and other ingredients to boost their productivity and profits.
I start my work at 7 a.m. and work till 2 or 3 in the afternoon. And now I'm making progress. In our group, we're very grateful. As for me, I'm very grateful. I don't know what the others would say, but I am very grateful because there is a very big difference in my life now. Only God knows.
There are many ways in which these groups, together with the KIN, are now talking about child labor-free zones.
1 year ago, we made a total transformation of our programs and decided to enter into this new program we call the free child labor zones. In the free child labor zones, we identify communities in which we want to work for a certain period of time, and completely eliminate child labor. And we are endeavoring to make sure that all the children in the free child labor zones eventually find their way back into formal full-time education.
Now, I buy a full kilogram of sugar, 1 kilogram of posho, rice, and I can afford other requirements for the family. When a child needs toilet paper, I buy 2. When the school requires brooms, I also buy. I could never afford these things before. The 2 grandchildren are studying well. I even pay an extra 20,000 shillings for them to study in the evening and Saturdays. Can't you see that I have been helped so much? How would a destitute old woman like me be able to manage all this?
The subject I like is math, English and science. It's because I want to be a pilot.
Science and math more. I like to become a doctor.
I like science and SST, social studies.
I like mathematics and English so much. I want to be an accountant and help my mother.
I want to be the president of Uganda. It's because I want to control Uganda.
As the children advance at school, the cost of education inevitably increases. And as the grannies advance in age, there will inevitably be a decline in productivity and profit levels. Need is more urgent now than ever before to mainstream child labor in our national and district development agenda. The child labor and the orphaned and vulnerable children's policies need to be effectively and efficiently implemented, along with other austerity and social welfare schemes to empower the families in order to protect children from child labor. Otherwise, the promises of the political and civic leaders may simply be relegated into a library of empty rhetorics, and the burden of the grannies and the dreams of the children may be turned into nothing more than just a long nightmare.